Hello everyone, I'm I.R.O and today I would like to show you how to remove seam lines for colored plastic without using any paint. This technique can be used for Gunpla and pretty much any plastic models you have, so without further ado, let's move on. For today's example, I'll be using Char Zaku. We look at the picture illustration and the instruction to see where the seam line needs to be removed appropriately. In this video, we will build the spike shoulder as an example. We then cut out the necessary piece from the sprue. Here's where it gets interesting. If we simply fill the seam with cement and sand off the surface, we'll get a very noticeable white line where the seam was. In order to avoid getting a white line, we want to prepare a few things. A plastic cement that is very thin in consistency, an empty small glass bottle, and finally, the sprue we cut the part off from. The first thing we do is cut out the same color plastic sprue into tiny bits. Having a container to catch the bits will be helpful in this situation. You want to cut enough tiny bits to fill the bottom of a glass bottle. Once you have enough, you pour in the plastic cement just enough into the glass bottle until it soaks the plastic bits. Using a pipette to transfer the liquid would help greatly to avoid leaving a mess. Then we put on the lid for the bottle and leave it for several hours, maybe a day, to let the plastic bit completely melt into a paste. A day later, when we come back, you'll notice the plastic has completely melted, making a nice paste. Using a cheap disposable brush or toothpick, we scoop up the paste and apply where the seam will be. Make sure not to apply too much, but just enough. After applying the paste to the desired location, we put the parts together and squeeze it tight to let the excess cement gush out. We then wait for several hours for the plastic to completely weld into one piece. Several hours later, once the piece has been fully cured, we start sanding off the surface with filing tool. Then proceed with different grit sanding materials starting from 400 grit, 600 grit, 800 grit, and finally 1500 grit. However, the sheen on the sanded area is much different to the rest of the surface, so we start polishing with different grit materials starting from 4000 grit, 6000 grit, and finally 8000 grit. With all that done, here is the end result. So here you have it. This technique is useful for removing any seams for any plastic model, so do try it out. Remember though, this technique works for colored plastic and not for models that have been coated. That is all for today. If you found this technique helpful, leave a like and subscribe to my channel, which I'll post more videos. If you have a question, leave a comment so that may help out. This was I.R.O and thank you for watching.